Hi, everyone. Hello, I am Super Julie Braun, and I am the CEO and founder of superinterns.com. And today we are doing a really generous and awesome and $10,000 Google grant show. I've got my guest here today, but Google grants are equal free money, and you can get $10,000 per month for your nonprofit marketing. This show really is today for nonprofit organizations, or as we like to call them, for-purpose organizations. And we really wanted to help share how Google grants, how everyone that's an NPO, if you're a 501c3, you can get these grants and how they will benefit your organization. We're always here to help you. So if you need virtual interns, go to superinterns.com and click on services, and you will find how to get super interns in your business or nonprofit organization. And if you want to be a super intern, go to superinterns.com, click on services, and get a virtual internship. So we're always here to help. And our driver today is Nay, and she's going to be putting up that link here shortly. Stick around for our hilarious poll mid-show, because we're going to be answering all your questions on the second half of the show. So now I'd like to introduce my guest. I'm super excited. It's Geoffrey Purkis, and Geoffrey is a CEO expert. SEO expert. He's the CEO of Seattle Web Search, and he's got over 12 years experience in web development, web design, internet marketing, SEO, you name it, Geoffrey does it. In fact, full disclosure, Geoffrey is our SEO guy. And also Geoffrey is a client of ours at superinterns.com. So that's full disclosure today. We're partners. But anyway, Geoffrey, welcome to the show. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and where are you located?
I'm located in Seattle, Washington. I actually got my start in this field doing tech support. A little bit in, I had to make a website for myself, and then a little bit after that, I wasn't getting any traffic, even though I was very proud of my work. So then I tried to hire an SEO person. They were too expensive for me, so I started doing it myself. And that's the general story. 3 years later, now I don't do web design anymore, and I do strictly SEO.
And Geoffrey, how long have you been in Seattle? Because you're kind of my neighbor. I mean, I'm going to wave to you because I'm in Seattle too, but I'm downtown. And you're like
I'm over in East Lake.
You're over in East Lake. Okay, so I'm waving to you now, Geoffrey. Hopefully it's the right direction. I don't know. I can never tell which side of the screen you're on. But how long have you been in Seattle?
About a year and a half.
A year and a half. And how's business going?
Business is going great. The city's treating me well.
That's fantastic. And you're more originally from the San Francisco area, so you've got a business down there too.
Yep.
Well, for being such a young guy, it's pretty impressive what you've created so far. And I can speak on firsthand, experience working with you. We've had some amazing results on our SEO, and our team, I think, has gotten better and better about what they're doing, really being able to be found by Google and, trying to get our ranking on that first page of Google. So Geoffrey, let's just jump on in and let's talk about Google Grants, because that's why everyone came today. They want to know, why does Google Grants give $10,000 a month away in marketing dollars to nonprofits? What's their motivation?
Their motivation is money. It's actually a tax write-off for them. So, just the same as a lawyer would do pro bono work to pay less on their taxes, Google gets to write off some of what they give away for free to nonprofits as a tax write-off.
Okay, great. And $10,000 a month seems like a lot of money. I mean, if we think of all the nonprofits in the world, and if they all were getting Google grants, that would just be a ridiculous amount of free advertising. But it seems like a lot of people don't even know about this. So
Yeah.
why is it such a secret?
I honestly am not sure about that, because it is a lot of money and there are some limitations on it. So they do put in some, Like the maximum you're amount to bid on any keyword is $2. So if you've ever done Google AdWords, you'll find that a lot of the high value keywords are way above that. $2 is definitely on the low end. So in general, you're usually aiming for not low value keywords, but they're just not the expensive ones. So this doesn't really cut into Google's profits because you are targeting keywords that are to them not so valuable. So
and I'm going to want you to explain that a lot more.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people may not even know what keywords are. They may not understand like what I have to pay for words. So let's save that a little bit for when we talk about how the marketing piece works. Right now, I just want to talk about philanthropy because, you know, you're doing such a great thing right now. You're giving all this information to nonprofit organizations that wouldn't know about this. I mean, that's got to make you feel good that you're also giving back right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned a lot about Google AdWords through nonprofits. In my experience, I've usually steered people away from pay-per-click because the general ideas, and I've seen this too often with small businesses, where they will invest all their marketing budget into pay-per-click. And the problem there is you're essentially paying for things that you should have earned for free. All SEO and all online marketing is a matter of time versus money. You can pay Google to be at the top, to be on the first page, or you can blog, or you can do social media, or you can do email marketing, or you can make videos. That's all called organic marketing. And in general, pay-per-click works at its best once you've already kind of exhausted your organic marketing opportunities. You don't want to be paying for something that you should be getting for free is really the short answer.
Okay, cool. So I'm just wondering, how can people get signed up for Google Grants? It's relatively easy, but what should people be doing?
So if you just Google nonprofit, it's going to take you to, and I'll share just this page my screen really quickly.
Okay, great.
So it will take you to this page right here.
Okay, so you first Google nonprofits.
And it'll take you to this page, Google for nonprofits. Then all you have to do is sign in the top right corner. And it will take you to this page. And you will just put in the country that you're in, United States. You'll certify everything that they ask you to certify. And then you have to validate your nonprofit. So here it's going to take you to this website called TechSoup, where you basically verify your nonprofit. And you're just going to put in, your information here. So this is what the website looks like. You would say, register your NGO, your nonprofit, to get validated. So the next screen is very simply going to ask you for your name, your email, a password, and a security question. Once you've done that, you've created your account. And then they're going to ask you for your 501c3 tax ID, the EIN tax ID. So that should be on your 501c3 form. And that's all you need to get validated. Once you put that in, you'll get validated by TechSoup. You can go back to Google Nonprofits and put in the token that they give you.
And how long does it take before you find out that, yay, I qualify?
In my experience, it's been really less than a day, usually. I think if for some reason you have, it's certain nonprofits actually don't qualify. So like politics, for instance. If you go to the Google Grants website, it'll show you what, their specific limitations.
Okay, so you said not politics.
Yeah, I can actually bring up the list somewhere here.
Okay, that would be cool to see.
Okay, so the organizations that are not eligible for Google for Nonprofits are government entities and organizations, hospitals and healthcare organizations, schools, child care centers, academic institutions, and universities, and that's about it.
So anybody outside of politics, hospitals, and schools.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty amazing. And after you get approved, so you said you found it takes less than a day to get the approval. What should somebody do next?
So
I mean, if I'm a nonprofit, I don't know all the stuff that you know. So what would you recommend?
So first you have to get approved by Google Nonprofits. Once you get approved by Google Nonprofits, you'll be on this screen. The next step is now you have to get approved for Google Grants. So very simply for Google Grants, you have to have a Google Adwords account that you have to connect it to. You have to have a website, and then you have to set up the basics in Google Adwords. So that in general is like a 20-minute process, and it's pretty clear actually through the website how to do it. I have a number of other webinars where I've gone over it, 3 of them actually. So I think our time would be better spent actually showing how to use Google Grants once you get approved, because the approval process is pretty straightforward. What comes after it is really where people run into problems.
Beautiful. Let's do it. So you've got something you can share?
Yeah. So this is a pretty fresh account. So I thought I would use this and then compare it to an account that's already been active and already been running for a little while.
Okay.
So this is what Google AdWords will look like once you get in it. So this is the home page. You're going to want to switch to the campaigns tag. So very simple, you'll create a campaign and you will specify search network only because that's one of their limitations. And you specify a budget of $329 a day. That's it's written up in the Google Grants website. If you divide $10,000 by the days in a month, it comes out to $330. So you want to put in a budget of $329 so you don't go over that budget and start getting charged. Then you can target any specific area that you would want to put your ads. So in this case, this nonprofit, which is called Youngstown Cultural Arts, is located in Seattle, Washington. And since they have a physical location, they really only want traffic from Seattle, Washington. So we put in that location. And all of this would be set on this page when you're creating this, the campaign. So there's basically 3 steps when doing Google AdWords. You have to create a campaign, then you create ads, and then you create keywords that point to those ads. So after you got a campaign, you're going to want to create an ad group. And the ad group is essentially the combination of ads and keywords. So in this case, I just made a test one for the home page because the home page is the page that everybody visits on your website. So unless you have specific landing pages, it's usually the best place to start. So in this case, I just made a group, an ad group called homepage. There's really not much more information that you have to put beyond that. You do specify what your maximum bid would be, but in Google Grants, you have a maximum of $2. So I think $1 is a pretty safe place to start. That way you're not burning through your budget, at its maximum rate, and you have the flexibility to go up. At the same time, anything less than $1 is usually not enough. So once you've got an ad group, now you have to add ads and keywords into that ad group. So I think sometimes it's actually easier to start off with keywords, because once you've figured out which keywords you want to target, then you can start to craft ads, and you can start to research any ads that your competitors might already be using for that given keyword.
Can you give us some understanding of what you mean by keywords? I mean, I know because you've taught me, but for people that are here today, they might be saying, oh my gosh, SEO, keywords, what does all this stuff mean?
Yeah, so keywords are just generally, things that bring traffic to your website. Now, there's a number of ways to find this information. First, just use your common sense. If you go to your website, look at some of the keywords that are most prominent. So here, an easy one is Youngstown Cultural Arts Center. If you remove the Youngstown, Cultural Arts Center is a keyword. And if anybody's searching for cultural arts or arts center, that's a great place to put an ad. So that would be probably where I start here. I would go add keywords, and so you can just add them manually here. Let's just say cultural arts. Art Center. And then you can just say save. Here it's going to tell you what the average bid is. This one we were instantly eligible because, since cultural arts probably isn't used too much, since it's kind of related to the name of the business, we're instantly eligible because there is no competition. Now for Art Center, you'll see that the estimated page bid is $1.64. And since we put in a max, pay per click of $1, it's saying that we're likely not going to show up for that. So in general, for this one, you would raise your cost per click to $2, which is the maximum that we can put. You can see now that we're eligible, and it changed that almost immediately. So now you can just keep adding keywords. Now, if you don't know once you've added a couple keywords, they're nice enough to start adding recommended keywords over here on the right-hand side. So very simply, when you're getting started, I usually just add everything they recommend here. If something doesn't apply and isn't appropriate, because it is a machine, it's not always going to, a lot of what it picks is based off of math. And in general, you do want to steer the ship because, if you just start hitting every single keyword that Google recommends, you might very quickly find yourself burning through your budget and or targeting keywords that are very popular. And the more popular they are, the more competitive they are. The more competitive they are, the more expensive they're going to be. So, but when you're getting started, it's not a bad idea usually to just add everything, and then later you can remove keywords that don't perform and or are burning through the majority of your budget. So in this case, I am just going to add everything.
That's very cool. So Geoffrey, is it better? I guess it's better to add as many keywords as possible that they're recommending that fit within your organization versus just having one or two. And this also helps you reach that $329 that you want to spend that day.
Yes. So the way it works out is $10,000 a month is $330 a day with a cost per click of $2 maximum. That means at a minimum, you should be getting 165 people to your website if you max your budget every single day from Google Grants.
165 people.
Yeah. So, and a lot of nonprofits have a problem with SEO. This is a case study of another nonprofit that we did about 6 months ago. And before we started the Google Grants, they were averaging about 5 people a day, which was about 200 people a month. Almost instantaneously after turning on Google Grants, they're now averaging 170 people a day, which is, I don't know the math, but after running it for about 10 days, they saw an improvement to their traffic of 400%. And that was only 1/3 of the month.
And the number that I just did, I did 165 people times 30 days, and I came up with 4,000, almost 5,000 people a month.
Yeah.
I mean, that's significant for an organization to be driving that much traffic to their website, to be able to have the opportunity to convert those people into donors, volunteers, donations that can be made on your site, all those things. That's really impressive. Now, do we have any idea if I did get 5,000 people that came to my website and I had a good website that was good at conversion, do we have any kind of idea, Geoffrey, what's maybe a number that an organization would want to land on as far as conversion rate? Is it 1%, 10%? I mean, obviously we'd all love to be 100%.
10% would be really actually quite high. In general, conversion rates in SEO are usually quite low. Getting traffic and getting visibility to your website is a lot easier than making sales. And because of the human element. The first step is you have to make Google happy. Once you make Google happy, they'll send people to your website. But now you have to make those people happy in order to do business with you or to donate to your nonprofit. And so that has very little to do with your SEO and much more to do with your content and who you are and why you do what you do. People connect with that much more than they would, how much traffic you get to your website. That's kind of stuff that impresses Google does not impress human beings. So conversion rates 10% would be considered very high. The industry conversion rates right now are somewhere about 4% for email, about 2% for search, and less than 0.5% for social. So that's 4 in every 100 emails results in a sale. 2 out of every 100 Google searches results in a sale, and less than 1 in every 200 social media posts result in a sale.
Wow.
And in general, you know, the internet's growing. So every single day there's more people, it's more competitive. And so things just get harder and harder to cut through the noise over time.
Okay. So now I'm beginning to understand a little bit more why this can be very daunting for a nonprofit organization, because they're probably thinking, okay, I got to set this up. That seems relatively easy. The next thing is now I've got to connect my Google ads to Google Grants, and I've got to connect it to my website. So there's some stuff that I need to do there. And then they've got to figure out the keywords, which doesn't seem that difficult. But again, it's another task to do. And then they have to monitor. I mean, how often do you have to monitor, Geoffrey, to see that you're reaching your goals? Do you check it every day? Can you check it once a week? Does it go on autopilot at any point?
That question completely depends on the competition. If you have no competition, you can just set it and forget it, and it will just run forever. You know, I absolutely recommend, you know, checking in on it once in a while and optimizing it, because you know, you can always make it spend the budget more efficiently. Right? If you see one keyword that's taking up 80% of your budget, it's probably a good idea to reduce your cost per click on that keyword. You know, because you free up the budget for other keywords to kick in. In general, when you're in, you know, Google AdWords, the ad groups would be good examples of how you could kind of improve your conversion rate. So, you know, getting traffic to the home page is pretty obvious, but a second thing you would want to do, right, is probably get volunteers. So to get volunteers, you'd probably want a page on your website where you do that. So you know, in this nonprofit doesn't have one of those, but so I'm just going to point it back to the home page. But in general, you could at least specify, you know, which keywords you want, you know, related to getting volunteers. So I'm just going to put $1 bid and volunteer for a volunteer art center. You know, volunteer nonprofit. Now that's going to be probably pretty competitive. So you want to be usually the more specific you are without being unnecessarily specific, the better. But you'll also see as soon as I put in a keyword, just volunteer, it pops up some options right here on the right-hand side. And look, volunteer opportunities is 210 searches a month. So, you know, you can just keep clicking the ones that have volunteering near me. That's a good one, because in this case, we're targeting specifically Seattle. So it's going to find people in Seattle that are looking to volunteer near me, volunteer jobs. So Google AdWords is pretty smart and pretty helpful.
Now, yeah, go get your cat, because we know Kitty's got a problem. Only virtually does stuff like this happen. We got kitty cats creating little, bring back the cat. That's what they're saying. Okay. Courtney had a good question. I think you've answered it. Are you able to see which keywords are getting the most hits? And I think the answer is yes. And you're saying if something is getting a lot of hits, you keep using that, or you back off from it after you've put money towards it? You
just don't want any one given keyword to be burning through 80% of your budget.
Right? Okay.
At that point, you would, the easy answer there is to reduce the amount that you're spending per click. You know, if you're bidding $2 and it's burning through 80% of your budget, reduce it down to $1.75. You may not even need to be spending $2. That is one part about Google AdWords that's a little bit annoying. They have no problem burning through your budget unnecessarily. It's not really in their best interest to tell you what the lowest bid would be. It's very similar to
Okay.
an auction. They don't normally tell you what the lowest auction is. They just let you put out your best offer. So if you see one keyword burning through a majority of your budget, I would recommend just reducing your overall bid for that. And then in general, the more you diversify your strategy, the more you will find opportunities that are really, really efficient. And this is an example I used all the time. I had a client who's an electrician here in Seattle, and we made a video for his website, and we put it on the home page, and we targeted 2 keyword phrases in there, Seattle electrician and hire an electrician. And funny enough, he was already ranked 12 for Seattle electrician. That one video took him from 12 to 8, which is a pretty good jump. But it took him also for hire an electrician from position 150, which is the 15th page of Google. There's 10 results per page, to the first page of Google overnight, to positions 5 and 9. And the reason why is because every single electrician in Seattle wants to rank for Seattle electrician. They're not thinking like a human being searches. A human being doesn't actually need to put in Seattle. Google automatically factors in their GPS. And also the way people search on their desktop is different from the way they search on their mobile device. And if you are aware of the demographics, there's like 6 billion mobile devices in the world. There's only a couple hundred, there's a lot less desktop devices, less than 1 billion. So there's probably 12 times as many mobile devices as desktop devices. So hire an electrician, it was a much more valuable keyword phrase, even though overall it gets a lower monthly volume than Seattle electrician. But again, because it has less competition, it's much more valuable. So the more you diversify your keyword strategy, the more opportunities you have to find these really low competition, relatively high volume keywords.
Geoffrey, that's an amazing story that you told about him being 150th and then going to 5 and 8, ranking on the first page of Google, just because of those keywords. Yep. So I think the wisdom to your words here are not thinking about your nonprofit as the nonprofit CEO or as the nonprofit marketing person or as the nonprofit entity, but thinking about your nonprofit as somebody who would actually be interested in searching. And what do we put in? What are the words that we put in when we're looking for something?
Yeah, and I noticed this in SEO, that it's very easy to get distracted by the numbers and to get sucked into the world of Google. And very often the best way to do SEO is to start Googling how you would find your website. And then even ask some of the visitors that come to your website, how did you find us? What did you Google? Very often that will be more enlightening than what keyword programs find you. Because what a keyword program shows you, it shows every other SEO professional. So all the eyes are on the same amount of data. So very often some of the best ideas come from just thinking how a human would think, not what the search engine finds valuable. Because what the search engine finds valuable, a lot of other people are aware of.
That is very interesting. So I like asking if you already have donors, if you already have volunteers or people that come to you as a volunteer, for you to ask them, how did you find us?
Yes.
What words did you type in to find our nonprofit? And I just think that is so smart, Geoffrey. Most people would not share what you just shared with us. Because we're always thinking keywords, but that goes back to the SEO experts out there and not the actual human beings that are going to be the donors, that are going to be the volunteers for organizations. That was $1 million idea you just gave everybody. Thank you for your generosity.
The conversion aspect of SEO has so much more to do with humans than it does with the search engine. And conversion is where you make the money.
Yeah.
A lot of traffic to your website doesn't mean much if you don't convert it.
Okay, Geoffrey, we're getting about halfway through our show. And just as a reminder, if you just joined us, I'm Super Julie Braun, and I'm the founder of superinterns.com. And I've got my guest here. I guess I'm going to point downwards because now you're below me for some reason, Geoffrey. I feel like I'm in that old-fashioned Brady Bunch where I can look down at you and you can look up. But Geoffrey is our guest today. He is a SEO expert and the CEO for Seattle Web Search. Let's go ahead and take a poll, Geoffrey, and let's check out the poll really quick, and then we'll get back. We'll come back and you can share some more before we go to questions. How's that sound?
That sounds good.
Okay, so I'm going to click on the polls. So if you haven't taken our poll yet, please do. You can change what we talk about. But one of the questions that we had was, what is your number one priority for marketing your nonprofit organization? By the way, the poll is right below Geoffrey and myself, so I'm just going to point down. And Geoffrey, do you want to maybe stop sharing your screen while we do the poll so then people can concentrate on, okay, so it's right below us. And it looks like the winner that we have here is what people want for their nonprofit is recruiting volunteers and interns. So we're actually getting things done instead of staring at our to-do list of a million things. You know, it could be because we're superinterns.com that's why that poll won. I think that's very interesting. The thing that I thought would be number one is get more donors and donations. So our new problem is, what projects are we going to fund first instead of eating ramen noodles for the umpteenth time this week? But that didn't get as many votes. I'm surprised that nonprofits don't care more about money. Do you find this to be interesting, Geoffrey?
Well, it's always surprising to me how long how many times it takes to convince people to use Google Grants, because it is just money on the table. So in general, that's the thing about nonprofits is they usually get into what they're doing specifically not to make a profit. So you kind of have to, explain to them that you can just get more people involved in the cause, explain to them that it's really just going to help them do the things that make them happy as a nonprofit, which is usually helping the world in some way or helping people.
Right. I always tell people the more money you make, the more people you can help, or the more you can satisfy your cause. If you are an environmental cause, then you can help the world in environmental benefits. If you are about homeless people, then you're going to help more homeless. So we want nonprofits to really be thinking more like businesses and to be thinking about how much money can we make.
And there's a lot of nonprofits that get grants, from the government, or for instance, St. Jude's, right? They run commercials on television. They get donations from people. Getting support is a very important thing as a nonprofit, right? Because since you don't have money, you have to leverage people. And Google Grants is a free source of money that can help you generate that, to get more visibility on your website, on your organization, and thus hopefully get more volunteers and then more donations.
Okay, so the thing that came in second was developing a name and reputation so we can eliminate having to explain who we are every time we meet someone new. I think every nonprofit organization dreams about that, where they can just say, hi, we're the Red Cross. Or, you mentioned St. Jude's. So I think all organizations want to get to that level, but there's a huge, it's almost like the Grand Canyon between being kind of a small, we just started our nonprofit, to being one of the bigger organizations that are out there. But Google Grants would definitely help you get the word out there. So in a way, if that's what your dream is, you have to do Google Grants.
And it doesn't take a lot of time to get started. It really, takes an hour to get verified, and maybe another hour or two to really set it up. And then from there, the amount of time you spend optimizing it is totally up to you. But it's pretty easy to get traffic to your homepage, and from there, then you get what you put in.
Wow. Okay. So you just said the magic words. It takes about 3 hours, 3 hours to get $10,000 of marketing from Google a month. And this is, I guess, in perpetuity.
Which, like you said, is 4,000 to 5,000 people to your website every month.
To me, this is such a no-brainer. It shocks me that nonprofit organizations would not just be jumping all over this.
When you tell for-profit companies that nonprofits get this, they get super jealous. And
well, I totally am.
Company would jump on this in seconds. And also a very important thing to notice is this may not be around forever. If the tax laws change, then they might shut it down. There used to be a program called Google Grants Pro, where if you maximized your budget of $10,000 3 months out of a 6-month period, so if you spent $9,900 out of the $10,000 for 3 months, they would up it to $40,000. So that's, instead of $120,000 a year, that's $500,000 every year. And they shut that down because either they were losing money or for whatever reason, it's shut down now. You can still get it, but you have to jump through a lot more hoops, and that might be a case in the future. So it is a thing with Google Grants. Your account will get shut down if you don't use it. So it doesn't take a lot of time, and it's a lot of money on the table that if you asked any other business whether or not they could have $10,000 of free ads, even with the limitations that you have that Google puts on you, every single one of the for-profit businesses would take advantage of it.
I'm still stuck on, I've worked with enough nonprofits to understand some of them have that scarcity thinking. They're coming from a place of, oh, we don't have enough time, we don't have enough energy, we don't have enough people, we don't have. And so, but I just think 3 hours, like, forget doing something else that is not driving traffic to your website. Forget about, maybe putting out a newsletter one week to set this up. Spend the 3 hours it's going to take to get $10,000 of free advertising for your organization. Wow.
Yeah. And when you think about SEO from a normal standpoint, in general, people have short attention spans. So the general consensus of SEO is 90% of people don't go to the second page of Google. And then even if you're on the first page of Google, 70% of traffic clicks on the top 3 results. So basically, until you reach the first page of Google, you don't get any traffic. And even when you're on the first page of Google, the top 3 results get significantly more than the rest of the people at the bottom of the homepage. So it takes a lot of work to get into the top 3. We're talking about the top 5% to top 1% of websites for any given search phrase. It takes a lot of work to get there, and that's when you start seeing results. So, in general, to spend 3 hours a month to be on the first page of Google, that is unheard of from an organic perspective. SEO is a very long-term strategy in general, and nonprofits have a really unfair advantage to get short-term results.
I am so envious just hearing this, but I'm grateful that we're able to turn on our favorite nonprofit organizations to Google Grants and get them on board before it gets taken away. Well, it looks like everybody else did. They picked one. So, one person picked launching effective campaigns, share our organization's purpose with the world. Okay. Finding partner organizations and businesses. So it seems like the overall resounding results are recruiting volunteers and interns, so we're actually getting things done. Sounds like a lot of people out there probably need superinterns.com. So if you do, go to our website, superinterns.com, click on services, and you can go to get virtual interns, and we will definitely reach out to you and have a conversation, see how we can help. By the way, I just want to make one announcement. Every year we give away one of our programs to a deserving nonprofit organization. And we gave it away this year, which I'm very excited about, to an organization. I can't say because we signed a confidentiality agreement, but we gave a $15,000 program out this year to a nonprofit organization. So, I like helping these organizations however we can. And Geoffrey, you're doing your part by doing this show. So what should we go back to? Did you want to go back to sharing your page and give people some other highlights?
Yeah,
before we answer some questions? We got a lot of questions to answer.
I saw a question here that's been repeated a couple times. Is there a $10,000 in marketing money equals how much in additional donations for a nonprofit? And I could do some really quick math for you.
Okay,
if you get 5,000 people to your website a month, and you have a donate button on your homepage, a very normal conversion rate, which is not too high but not too low, would be about 2%. 2% of your traffic results in any given conversion action that you're looking for. Either
that's 100 people.
That's 100 people. So if then the average donation is $5 or $10, at $10 that's $1,000 a month. For $5 it's $500 a month. But so that's what you could be getting for free. So
that's $12,000. That could be, a part-time person to add to your staff. It could be, depending upon what your organization is, it could maybe supplement your program somehow. It could pay for office supplies, and it could pay for all of your operational expenses for the month if you're a low-cost kind of place. Okay, Geoffrey, did you disappear on me?
Yeah, 1 second.
Okay, is it the cats again? All right.
My puppy's got a hurt paw. So
Aww.
He probably doesn't want to say hi. Come here, Mark.
Oh, Marley, what'd you do?
He doesn't want on.
Nobody likes the cone. Nobody likes the cone. Okay. Well, let's go to some of these questions, I think.
Oh yeah, so there is another part. So we got through making adding keywords to your account, but the next step after that, and let me start sharing my screen for this.
Okay. Can we do like a quick, maybe 5-10 minutes on this next part that you're going to show us, and then we'll go to the questions, because we have 9 or 10 questions here that people, some of them are redundant, but.
Okay. So in general, the next step, there's really only one step after you've added your keywords, is you're going to want to make ads. So in general, one easy way to figure out what kind of ads you want to make is, to research your competition if you have any. So there's a really useful tool for that called SpyFu. So if you go to spyfu.com, you can put any competitor's website in here. And the easy example here is St. Jude's. St. Jude's is, huge. So if you were in the business of saving children, they'd be the #1 people to look at. So you can easily just run St. Jude's through this website, SpyFu, and they will tell you how much they spend monthly, what ads they use, and what keywords they target. So very quickly then you could replicate what they do. So here you'll see they spend $50,000 a month on Google AdWords. If you scroll down a little bit further, they will tell you what the competitors are. They'll tell you what keywords they target. But if you scroll down far enough, it'll show you what ads they run. So this is one of the easiest ways to kind of figure out what ads you want to run. You can also just look in the Google search engine. If you use a keyword phrase that you're interested in targeting, and make sure that you turn off your ad blocker if you have one. And, ads may show up. I think I'm running an ad blocker right now, so I'll just move on for that. But SpyFu is a really useful tool for crafting ads. I'd highly recommend it. I think also after this event is over, I'm going to put a bunch of links that have recommendations on how to do Google Grants like this one. The ad thing is, again, more common sense than it is analytics. You know, how can you cram in the smallest amount of information? Here you'll see, you know, family violence, learn more, get the latest family violence facts here. Or you could do family abuse, get the facts on family abuse here and learn how you can help stop it. You know, one of them just reads a lot better than the other one. So again, this is more the human element of it. The ad is how you convert people. So again, maybe you just ask some of the people that have come to your website or volunteered for you, and you know how they found you and why they chose to volunteer. Because very often what motivates someone to volunteer for your organization is very similar to what will motivate someone to donate to your organization.
Excellent point. I love SpyFu. I am super excited about going to check that out tonight for sure.
It tells you 13% of ads, you know, on this ad right now.
That's amazing. That's amazing that this information is out there and you can just basically model after what is the best of the best in your marketplace.
Yeah, they don't give you the full picture, but they give you enough, enough to get started.
That's great. That's a fantastic resource. Okay, so Geoffrey, are we ready to move on to the questions, you think?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, and it looks like Courtney asked a really good question here. I want to get to her. She said over in the comments, she's saying, does Google Grants help you create the ads or do you do it on your own?
It doesn't really give you much recommendations on making the ads. Not as much as it does for the keywords. You can see that if you just start typing in the keywords, it recommends, you know, related keywords very, very well. But the ads are much more, you kind of craft them yourself. So
that's why Geoffrey is saying, talk to your volunteers, talk to your donors, talk to people who have come to your site, because those are the people that are actually feeding you the copy writing that you should do for your ads.
And you can just start copying and pasting content from your website too, and see, you know, what content can be reworded so it's shorter because there is a character limitation. But very often the content on your homepage makes for very good ads, because usually the homepage is the page that people have considered the most thoroughly and put the most work into. So it's usually a summary of what your organization does, and you just have to cut it up into little ad-sized chunks.
Okay, so let's go to some questions, and this one won across the board. It got 6 votes, and I think we probably already answered it, but let's answer it anyway, just for our audience that might be coming here later and they want to click on the answer. Why have I not heard of Google Grants before? I feel like a program like this should be more well known. So what's your answer?
I think there's a number of answers there. I think it's just that, you know, nonprofits are very busy, usually. So they're not going out on the internet and researching SEO. But you'll find out that the big nonprofit organizations are taking advantage of this. So,
of course.
And, you know, small businesses are not doing the amount of SEO that big businesses are. The same thing applies to nonprofits. I think it's the smaller nonprofits that aren't aware of it, because the bigger nonprofits are, and they're usually using it.
Okay, I think we're done answering that question. So then we'll go to the next one, and this one's from Lori Newman. Is there a cap on the amount of grant money other than the $10,000 a month?
Yeah, so again, you know, $10,000 split by 30 days is about $330 a day, and then they do limit you to a $2 per click maximum.
And you had suggested, in order to stay under your budget, to just set your own limit at $329. I don't know if you can hear that, but I'm right here at Pike Place Market, and there's a cruise ship right outside my window. So, hi, everybody. So you suggested $329 so that you wouldn't ever be going over that budget. So that was, you know, good thinking on your part, Geoffrey.
That's actually, they will require you to do that. In the process of signing up for Google Adwords, one of the you know, requirements is that your daily budget is $330. They don't want you going.
Okay, great. So we're done answering that one. If I know a nonprofit, how can they benefit? And this is from Nay. So I would suggest, Nay, after we're done with this show, if you haven't already invited them to the show, Oh, and by the way, I need to click on Start Answering. So, Nay, if you know of a nonprofit, and I hope you would have invited them to the show, but if you didn't get around to it because you were too busy, we understand. You can, after the show is over, just grab the same link and send it to them, and the recording will go over to them, and they'll learn all of this firsthand. So,
yeah, and I would add to that this is actually my 4th webinar related to this. So there's 4 hour-long videos where I've gone with a different nonprofit each time and set up and optimize this process. So again, a lot of it really does depend on the competition. If you were doing what St. Jude's was doing, this would be a much more difficult process than, let's say, like Youngstown being a little art center. If there's no other art center nearby, you're not going to have any competition. It's going to be pretty easy. When you have a big competitor, and I've seen this actually quite often, what happens is as soon as you start to cut into their results, they'll come back and outbid you. And that's why you saw at St. Jude's, they spend somewhere like $70,000 a month. They use Google Grants, and on top of that, they spend real money. So with real money, they're not limited to $2 a click. So a very easy strategy for bigger nonprofits is to just push the value of a keyword over $2. And I'm going to just share my screen for 1 second, because this is the second you get into a competitive field, the amount that a keyword cost can go up significantly. So this is just a window washing company, and on average their keywords cost $35, $19, $21. So you can see that the for-profit market, keywords are very expensive, and people pay a lot of money for this. So in general, if you have low competition, this process will be pretty easy and you won't have to maintain it too much. If you have heavy competition, it's a whole nother story. But that's the case for all SEO.
Okay, so I think we're done answering that question. I'm going to skip over mine and go to the one that Nia asked. Can a nonprofit apply for this grant, or are there certain requirements that a company must meet? We've answered that, but basically you have to be a 501c3 and just follow all the instructions that Geoffrey gave at the beginning of the show. And those are the requirements.
It's pretty simple, actually. As long as you have that 503c form, you have a website, and you're not a school, a medical,
a hospital,
or a government entity, you're good to go.
Yeah. Okay, great. So we're done answering that one. We've already answered that question. I don't want to go to that one. Hold on a second. Here's one. What are the best ways specifically to get this kind of money? Yeah, we've already answered that. Let's answer this one that I asked. Once an organization gets Google Grant $10,000 in marketing, what should they do next? You took us through the basics. Get the keywords, get hooked up to your website. You talked about, setting your budget, spending 3 hours to get up to 5,000 new people on your website a month. All of these things. I mean, is there anything else, Geoffrey, that a company, an organization should be doing?
Well, so a very common thing in SEO is the more organized you are, the easier it is for Google to send the right people to the right place. And I see this with small businesses all the time. Well, they'll have one service page that lists 20 things that they do. Now, if you think about it from a search engine's perspective, if there's 20 different things on one page, how are they to know who to send to that page? Everything works better when you have pages that are specific to one thing. So instead of having one page with 20 services on it, you can have one service page that links to 20 individual service pages that are specific about that single service. And this same thing applies to nonprofits. So if I share my screen here, earlier I was making a couple different ad groups for different things. The first one was the home page. A second group would be volunteers, and a third group would be donations. Now those are probably going to be the 3 most common ones. But these ad groups, volunteers and donations, would work a lot better if they're pointed to pages dedicated to that specific task. A page that specifically talks about how you can volunteer, why you should volunteer, and how to volunteer. And same thing with donations. How is your donation going to get used? Just the more specific you are, and the more that you land people on a page that speaks to them, the more likely they are to take any specific given action. So one general thing about Google Grants is the better your content, the better it's going to work. Because I could talk about this for a long time, but the simple story is, again, if you have all your keywords crammed on one page, Google is less likely to send the right people to it just because it's getting confused. So the more pages you have on your website, and the more you send, the more that you send traffic from specific sets of keywords to pages that make sense, the more likely you are to convert, and the more value you're going to get out of it.
That is such a great point. We talk all the time about really defining your target. It's a lot easier if you have a defined target, and this is for anything, whether it's business, nonprofit, if it's for a job. You want to define your target because it's easier to hit.
Yep. And so here's an example of a nonprofit that we've already set up Google Grants for. I asked them specific things that they were trying to accomplish. And one of them was they wanted more board members, right? So we made an ad group for nonprofit board members in Seattle. And, ideally you'd have that point to a page that was specific to, do you want to be a nonprofit board member? And you don't have to specify in Seattle because the ads will automatically be targeting Seattle. But another thing would be, they're looking for social entrepreneurs in Africa. That's just what this nonprofit was looking for. Mm-hmm. So the more specific you get to what you want out of the Google Grant, the more you can start to build funnels, that are appropriate.
Okay. Well, I think we have answered that question. Geoffrey, we're going to close our show down here in just a few minutes. So to all of the for-purpose organizations that are watching, please go to our website and check out superinterns.com, and we can help you with teams of interns that can help you grow your organization. And our driver is Nay, and she's going to put up that link in just a second. And Geoffrey, thank you so much for coming today and, educating us on Google Grants and, giving so generously of your time and energy. So we're also going to put up how everyone can get a hold of you, Geoffrey. So expect to maybe get a little slammed. I don't know. People are going to want to talk to you because you do this for a lot of organizations. How many organizations have you helped set up their Google Grants and that sort of thing? Do you have like a package around that?
Yeah, in general, I do one of these webinars every quarter. So I do basically a package of SEO pro bono for a nonprofit every quarter. So I'm scheduled out now to Q2 of 2018. So I'm looking for people for Q3 and Q4. And that's a long time to wait. I kind of recommend you get started sooner than that. But, go ahead and watch our previous webinars. If it's too difficult, then contact me, and I could do this all for you for free in Q3 or 4 of next year.
Or they could pay you now and get it done, and they could be the recipient of 5,000 additional people being driven to their website.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing that you said. If you have a really well-made website with great content, then the chances that you can get your money back are incredibly high. So because the conversion aspect has already been figured out. And if you have the conversion aspect figured out, then Google Grants is just going to send a lot of people to your website.
That is super cool. And I want you to do business because, I like you, Geoffrey, and you've been really good to us at superinterns.com, and we definitely appreciate you. So I want to thank everybody, our driver, Nay, and our producers, both Courtney and Carly, for all their help. Our show is going to be probably in 2 weeks. We'll let you know. And it will be the same place and the same time, but we're not sure if it's going to be 1 or 2 weeks. We might be taking a couple weeks off. It is summer. So from everybody here at superinterns.com, have a super day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.